sound of Norfolk.
And all the music you love. BBC Radio Norfolk.
Good morning. It's Kaylee Poacher here with you for your Thursday. And lots on the show today. If you've watched the series Adolescence, what did you make of it? What have been your sort of takeaways from it? 08000 321 333 is my WhatsApp. Stick Norfolk at the start. And if you do have teenagers, whether children, grandchildren, do you worry about them? Do you worry about what they can access? Particularly in the world of social media. It's an interesting one. And coming up in an hour's time, all of this week we'll be marking Memories and Dementia Week. It's been across the BBC. But how do you make that decision if you need extra support, if you've got a loved one with dementia now? How do you make that decision maybe to give them specialist care, maybe to move them somewhere? Well, I've got some great help after 11 o'clock. 0800 389 7321 is my number to call. And on top of all of that, well, there's a new history festival that's coming to Norwich this summer to shine a light on some of the influential figures from our city's past. The Rebels and Radicals Festival aims to encourage young people to find their sense of identity and also just a passion as well for the amazing history that we've got here. And it's the initiative being supported by the UEA, the National Centre for Writing, and also being led by former Norwich Arts Centre Director Stuart Hobday, who is in the studio with me. Good morning.
Morning, Katie. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. I mean, another festival. This isn't the first festival you've put on, is it, really, in Norwich?
No. No, guilty as charged. Yeah, 10 years ago I started Norwich Science Festival, and that's grown and grown, and I think just increasingly there's a really strong case for these type of city centre cultural initiatives. You know, they drive people into the city, so it helps the local economy, but also I think for a couple of years now we were talking about a history festival. Is it possible? And I talked to people at UEA, and they were really keen to support it, and so yeah, it's sort of happening as a pretty much as a pilot this year, just to almost sort of put a toe in the water and see how it goes. But actually it's going really well. I mean, got loads of offers of support and loads of enthusiasm. If I hadn't had that, I might not have pushed on with it, but actually, you know, the expression pushing at an open door really is, you know, partly, as you say, not the history of Norwich and Norfolk is amazing, really.
I say, I mean, everywhere, every time you go, I think for the first time in many, many years, I think I went near Cow Hill yesterday and sort of stopped at the plaques and started reading all the information and thinking, oh my goodness, there's loads of history here. So what's the festival focusing on mostly?
Well, a theme sort of emerged, which was this sort of rebels and what we're calling rebels and radicals, and that was just partly to do with these people like Robert Kett, Thomas Paine, Harriet Martineau, Elizabeth Fry. Generally, even Nelson, to be honest, you know, was sort of an interesting figure. He was an anti-establishment figure, Horatio Nelson, really, you know. So somehow this sort of theme was emerging, and so that's the theme of this year's festival. I've also got some good headline speakers coming as well, which I'm hoping to finalise few you know, sort of almost all good authors, well-known historians, things like that. Some walking tours, some films, and two or three bits of theatre. So I'm reasonably hopeful. It's going to be 9 days from July 17th to 25th that it's going to be something that people will notice and pick up on in the city, but hopefully it will grow year on year as well, and it will develop a team of its own. At the moment it's me and a few helpers, so it's a bit daunting, and we are running a crowdfunder at the moment to try and really establish the resources for it. So I'd urge people, if they could, even small donations to that crowdfunder will really help establish it as an event, showcasing the history of Norfolk and Norwich.
Oh, and I think it's one of those things where, I mean, we know the history is there. You know, you only have to look at any building and you know it's there. But I think it's festivals like this that bring it to life, and someone will sort of explain a story that you actually haven't heard before, or you can sort of actually walk it and sort of experience it. I think we're crying out for that now, aren't we?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. No, I think actually you were talking about teenagers actually earlier as well. Like, I think these city centre type festivals are things that are good for getting young people out, getting them involved, but for young people getting a sense of place as well, like in a place like Norwich, getting a sense of the history. I think that's really important, and hopefully this type of initiative will help with that sort of thing as well. The reason UEA are keen is to try and engage young people with history and the fact that you can still study history at UEA. So, pretty hopeful that it's going to grow. But you're also right. I've been lucky because actually since I started this, I've been going around and I've discovered things about Norwich I never knew at all. And I thought, I was brought up in Norwich and I thought I knew quite a lot, but actually it's amazing, really, and some of the stories and some of the hidden parts of Norwich, which we'll bring attention to a bit, it's an amazing place. It's very rich. I mean, Norwich was really the second city, I think, in medieval times, and then was big in Tudor times as well, but then you've almost got it grew in the 19th, 20th century. One of the things that really influenced me was going to the Museum of Norwich, which is, I think some of us still remember as the Bridewell Museum, but it's a lovely museum. I encourage people to go there. And the history of industry in Norwich is fascinating. The fact that they made shoes and chocolate and mustard, it really is. Now that's sort of fascinating because that disappeared, that industry, but the truth is people still want shoes and chocolate and mustard. It's like a bit of so that's almost a modern history right there, is how did that disappear? And textiles, people still want textiles. So in some ways there's some interesting things about Norwich in modern history as well,
So this is the first year.
Yeah.
Where do you hope this will go? Sort of, you look to the future. I know you're probably still just trying to get over this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but definitely feels like it's got legs and will grow in 2026. And this year we're not programming it so that there's any big clashes or anything like that. So it will be about 30 events across the 9 days, so that's nice. Probably 2026 will probably be double that, probably be 60 events with a little team of people and some more marketing resources. So fingers crossed. It also helps, I think, put Norwich on the map, driving visitors to Norwich as well from the region and from further afield, because as I say, next year we're probably going to almost definitely do something about the 8th Air Force in Norwich. So we're already talking about that, and they've got their really good programme running with the Forum this year, the Silver Wings project. So because that in itself is, again, fascinating history, the Americans in Norfolk in the Second World War. So we're not doing that this year, but we might do it next year because I'm totally fascinated by that. So if anybody wants to help, we're looking for volunteers as well, so if anybody would like to get involved, and as I say, support the crowdfunder, we have got a website which is norwichhistoryfestival.co.uk, and also there's an email, so anybody can just email me at info@norwichhistoryfestival.co.uk. I'm learning to say it. You noticed that? I was hesitating there.
Oh, but it's all so exciting. It's amazing. So look, keep me posted, Stuart. I want to know sort of every step. It'll be great to catch up in July when this is all going on.
Yeah, thanks, Kaylee.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can get loads of good help. But no, best of luck for it. Stuart Hobday from the Rebels and Radical History Festival is part of Norwich History Festival. So give that a search. You'll take you to the right place.
The Sound.
The sound of Norfolk.